To a video on credit cards and the mathematics of credit card debt. So the objectives here to find interest, balance due minimum payments for credit cards, and the pros and cons of credit cards, and the difference between credit cards and debit cards. Right? What's contained in a credit report, and understand credit scores and measures of credit worthiness. So an open-ended installment loan or revolving credit is a loan where you basically borrow money and there's no fixed amount that you have to pay each month, and there's no schedule for when you have to pay it off. They just keep basically making you pay and pay and pay for as long as you're the one in control of when you're going to pay it off. All right. You only typically have to make a minimum monthly payment, and a lot of times you're just paying interest down, very little going towards principal when you're paying that minimum monthly payment. Most credit cards are billed every month. You go from the 1st to the end of the month. You could go from like the 10th to the 9th of the next month, 5th through the 4th, like this one it says. You have your itemized bill showing you everything that you paid that month, and which ones were purchases, what were cash advances, and then any of the different charges. Sometimes there's different charges for purchases than cash advances and all that stuff, and then just what fees were incurred. Alright, so here is the average daily balance formula. So we are taking the sum of the unpaid balances for each day in the billing period and dividing that by the number of days in the billing period. Alright, so for example, if this was what we started off with, a $1,350 balance, so on May 8th we made a payment of $250, and then we bought some airline tickets, some books, some supper, and we have those 3 charges against us. Right? If we want to take what we see and find the average daily balance for the billing period round to the nearest cents, what we would do there is take our bill and break it down for what was the balance at different time periods and how long was it at that balance. So if you notice, we have May 1st, our $1,350 balance. On the 8th we made that payment, so for 7 days it was at $1,350, right? And then after the payment it was down to $1,100, so it was only that for 2 days. And then on the 10th we made the charge and we're up to $1,475, and then 10 days later we've got another $5,750 added on. So for 10 days we were at $1,475, and then that last charge for 8 days we're at $1,532, and then for the last 3 days of May we were at $1,597. So we take the number of days that we were charged at each amount, the amount that was on the account, multiply that by how many days we had that balance, right? And then add all those up. So when I'm saying add all those up, I'm talking about this last column over here. This was the balance. How many days was it? 1357. So we multiply those together. How many days was it? 1100? Just 2. So we multiply those together, and then we add all that up, and we get this bottom column right here. The bottom of the column, 45,051, and then we add up the number of days. We just add up this column. That's 31 days in May, and then we divide 45,051 20 divided by 31. That gives us an average daily balance of about $1,453.20. Alright, and then this part B, back up here, said find the interest rate to be paid on June 1st, the next billing, find the interest, not interest rate, and the interest the next billing cycle. So from the problem statement, our monthly interest rate is 1.3% of the average daily balance. So if we multiply that out, we get about $18.89. So the part C asks, what's the balance on June 1st? Well, June 1st we're going to take that balance that we had at the very end of the month, the $1597.80, and then we're going to add to it our interest of $18.89. So the $1597 and the $18.89, that'd be roughly $1,617. All right, and then Part D says, this credit card requires a $10 monthly minimum payment if the balance due at the end of the month billing period is less than $360. Otherwise, the minimum monthly payment is 1/36 of the balance due at the end of the billing period, rounded up to the next dollar. What's the minimum monthly payment? Well, our balance due is way more than the $360 that would result in a $10 payment. So 1/36 of the balance due. Take that $1616.69 divided by 36. We get about a $45 minimum payment that's due. Alright, so there's average daily balance. I would do this in Excel. Make a table that shows the beginning date of the billing period, each transaction date, and the unpaid balance for each date. Alright, then it says to add a column. Let's see if I can get both of these to show up on here. Add a column that shows the number of days at each balance, and add a final column that lets us multiply these things together. So this is what I've got from the one that we saw before. Alright, it's got the same exact data in there, and I'm going to show you how to get this last column that's talking about when we multiply the two together. So I'm going to take the these two columns, B and C, and I'm going to multiply them together. The way we do that through Excel is we just click on the cell and we type in equals, and then we click on the cells we want to multiply together. So I want to multiply B2 times C2, alright, and that's just multiplying the two together. Then I'm going to hit enter, alright, and we get the first amount. Now, I can do the same thing. I can click in the cell and just drag down, or autofill. There's click and hold since this is touch. And autofill is when I drag this bottom right corner, click it, and go down, and it does the same thing that it did in this cell to all the cells below it. Alright, meaning that it's going to multiply those two numbers together. We can see 2200, it came from 1100 times 2. Alright, now the nice thing about that is now I can add these columns together, which is what the whole purpose of this formula is to add these the number of days at that amount, and the balance times the number of days. If we add those together and divide, we get that average balance. All right, over here to the side, I got this little sigma symbol, and I'm going to touch that, and it will add all those numbers together. And then the same thing right here, I'm going to click, highlight this column, add all those numbers together, and then finally down here below it somewhere, I'm just going to write equals and then divide those two columns. Sum. So equals this divided by this. Alright, and then there is our sum that we got before, the 1453.26, and before we saw 1453.26. So again, I would definitely use Excel for this procedure, and do that to help you get ready for your budget project. Practice Excel. Alright, it's going to be something that you're going to have to get used to. Okay. Advantage of credit cards, there's not many. I would say that this top one is about as far as it gets. Alright, you get to use the product that you want to have before you actually have paid for it. Okay. All the other things are kind of like gimmicks to get you to use them. Alright. You do kind of improve your credit score, which will let you borrow more later on if you ever need it, but there's just, these are all iffy advantages at best. There is a there is that big advantage though that you get the product up front, which is the way it is with loaning or having money lent to you to buy things as well. It's just these interest rates are just amazing. They're so high. All right, obviously credit card woes, those high interest rates. We're talking in the 20s typically. I mean, on average, I would say probably in the 20s, but we can even see them up near around 30% interest, which is absurd. All right, caps on interest rates were waived, but it's just it's just they're dangerous. When you start spending, you don't you don't realize that you're spending this much money. You have the thing that you wanted, you've got it up front, but then the bills start coming in and you're just paying minimum payments and it's never going away, and you're just always having to throw that minimum payment out there. It's just a scary proposition. All right, so there's many different things. You can pause the video and write those things in as needed. There's many different things you got to be worried about. Okay, debit cards, very similar to credit cards in the fact that you can just swipe a card to pay. Typically, you have to have a PIN number to use these, and it's loaded up and attached to your checking account. The kind of drawback or dangerous thing about credit cards, though, is if you have a overdraft account, it's a lot of times it's tied to credit card, and then it's kind of fall in the same category as what we talked about before. Credit reports, credit scores. So a credit report will contain the information of identifying Social Security number, typically your current address. Sometimes several of your previous addresses will be in there. And then credit accounts, like anything that you ever had a credit account that you paid off, any credit card that you opened a credit account, or any loan typically that you borrowed money and then paid it off, even if it's been years and years ago. All right, credit reports, public record information. Any of your public records of bank, especially bankruptcy, if you do get caught in those credit card traps, will show up in those credit reports. If a collection agency or whatever have to call on you to get you to pay money, that'll show up there. And then inquiries. Sometimes companies will ask for your credit report because you've applied for credit card. All those will be listed on the credit report. Credit bureaus will collect information on consumers and provide those reports to lenders, employers, and other people. The three main credit bureaus, you've probably heard of at least Equifax and Experience before. TransUnion is a third one, and they have kind of sometimes, just depending on who is asking about the credit, those different bureaus, those different 3 different places there will have different information on you. You can get a free copy of that report annually at annualcreditreport.com. All right, and then last thing, your credit scores, your FICO scores, range anywhere from 300 to 850, and if you're at the 300 score range, you're not going to get credit virtually anywhere. And then obviously if you're up near the 800, really, or anything really getting above 700, you're more than likely going to be able to get credit at just about any institution for most anything that you are desiring credit for within reason. You're not wanting to purchase a Porsche or something crazy like that.